All right, hello and welcome everyone. Doug here with the LincolnList.com, and today I want to talk about DOCU. DOCU, D-O-C-U. I am expecting DOCU to uncork itself any day now and become the DOCU we all know and love and put 20, 30, maybe even 40 points in our pockets. So I want to talk to you about that trade. It's my top stock that I'm looking at going into Tuesday, the 29th of September. Maybe I'll talk about a couple of others, but before I start, I want to build on some of the things that we've been talking about in these last videos, what I've seen from the market, how I see things playing out here. Now, if you go back to the last video I did, I thought we were going to start out the market mutterings from the weekend. I thought we were going to start out the week with some bullish activity carrying over from Friday's action. That's exactly what we saw Monday. Now, after a few days going from Thursday, Friday, Monday of bullish action coming off of the bottom at significant support levels, we probably need a little bit of digestion or a couple more clues here to see if we're going to carry that on the week, but that will all come out here in the wash. The one I'm focusing here is on DOCU. Now, the original run from DOCU, I'm going to open up the daily chart here for you guys. We'll talk about it in just a second. The original run here from DOCU is one of those coronavirus plays, a lot like ZM. Now, in the case, ZM has continued to just blow up time after time. The stock is just unstoppable this year, and so is DOCU. It's had a good year, but it's kind of gone through this phase where it's consolidating, where it's pulling back, and I'm expecting either at some point during this week, the sooner the better for moi, but I'm expecting it sometime this week we either get some sort of coronavirus bump out of this or just a standard technical setup, which we do now, or both. Both of them happen simultaneously and put the big bills in our pocket. So what I want to look at here is this thing was, first of all, pretty overbought at one point with the coronavirus plays. This thing was following ZM. It was just kind of rolling up and everything. Earnings come out and it's like, the stock sells off. Now, that's to be expected. We talked about this before, too, in a lot of these market mutterings and a lot of the educational stuff. When you got a stock that runs up 100 plus or whatever, 18,000% into earnings, they've got to hit every mark perfectly. If there's anything that's in doubt there, these stocks get sold off. DOCU, not uncommon. But where this thing has come from, if I kind of just take this out for a quick second, where this thing was and where it's pulled back to is it's irrelevant at this point. I mean, this is a pretty good looking chart. Now, you got this recent bounce here off of support, double bottom support. And then you're actually in a two-step phase where it would have been nice to have been in this trade off the bottom and catching this big bounce day right here. But what you've had here over that last couple of days, actually, let me open this back up. I'm going the wrong way. Oh, no. There we go. You've got a lot of consolidation here over these last 4 days, really holding in a tight range. So this thing hasn't quite participated in the market rally. Now, I got the initial burst off the bottom at support, which is understandable. But as this market has rallied over the last couple of days, you saw a lot of these other stocks run up. You see like the Facebooks and some of those other stocks moving, the NVIDIAs, the AMDs and stuff like that. This thing's just kind of laying down here. That's why I use the word coiled. It's just kind of coiled sideways here, and it's about ready to make the move. Now, the beautiful thing about coiling, guys, is that at some point, one of these levels gives. Either the lower portion of that range gets taken out and the stock makes a definitive direction downwards, or it actually breaks above. In this case, I'm looking for this thing to break above. It's 214.50. So if you kind of look at the tops here, it's also just slightly above the moving averages right there in this little area, the 10 and the 20 moving average. So this second wave of consolidation is pretty good, and I'll tell you why. Not only is that good, but when you come off the bottom like this on the original spike, it's not odd to get a stock that just has, sometimes these bounces are just one-off days. They'll just spike, and then it's just one and done, and they start selling off. It's always a good sign when a stock digests a recent gain. So when something starts to get bullish and it runs up, maybe has 1, 2, or 3 days, something like the market for now, what you like to see is a period of consolidation where the overall market digests that move, holds most of that move, and then, kind of re-gears itself. That's why they call it stair-stepping. Those are the best stock charts. When a stock goes up, levels off, goes up again, levels off. It's like taking a break, gathering more buyers in there, ready for its next leg up. And I think you see that here. And that's what we're seeing is after this initial bump off of the bottom, DOCU's kind of made a nice sideways consolidation. So I'm looking for this move to go through 214.50. Now, if you're a breakout trader, which I ain't, but if you are, you could take it on a move above that. That's not really the trade I'm looking for. I'm more taking this as a day trade right now, buying into the dips, kind of like, for lack of a better word, say hoping to time it correctly, that I get into it at the right time, collect it throughout the day, carry that over into a swing trade when I see it move through that. So if I pull into something that's a little bit, let's move into the intraday chart. Like yesterday, it began like that was going to happen. And that's what we were looking at, thinking of that 214 area being taken out here. It started out pretty good news. Guys, we went to the check mark webinar. I mean, this was almost a standard check mark at one point, filling into the gap and then rallying back up to high day. And it looked like if it could have just consolidated up here, then maybe that was going to be the day that we saw it. But it wasn't. You know, it's back and forth actions. You just saw a lot of stocks doing it. And this is why gap up days don't necessarily do any favors, because it takes a lot of the value out. And what you want to see, again, is consolidation. When a stock comes down in here, comes back up in this V-shaped rally, that's pretty extreme. You've got one extreme down, followed by one extreme up, those V-shaped sharp recovery rallies. They need digested. This never did. It became a V, then became an N, then became some sort of hieroglyphic drawing throughout the day, bouncing late and closing pretty strong. So what I'm looking for here is to try to continue to accumulate this stock on the dips. Basically down in these areas, the 210s, the 211s, if that support holds, I want to accumulate a position and mainly day trade that thing like yesterday, picking it up into the gap, picking it up into the dips, taking what it gives me for now, but ultimately hoping I see the sign where it gets through that 214 and then just starts punching away at it. So if we go back to the daily chart real quick, if that clears, the reason I like this one too is, number one, DOCU is a Momo stock and it's a growth stock as well. So you're getting both of those in there along with the coronavirus play that it gives you. So you have a lot of room in this name if it wants to clear that. I mean, the next piece of resistance, you're going all the way up here in like the 230s, 240s before you get to any significant resistance. I mean, if we're stocking up in this thing in the 210s, even if you get it late at 214, I mean, you're looking at 230 as a basic target. And maybe you're going all the way back to 290. This thing's got hella potential in it. And like I said, it used to run pretty much in unison with the ZM, but they've since kind of gone in different directions. And on ZM's note, this is kind of what I want you to look at here real quick, guys, is how DOCU is setting up as compared to what you saw with ZM. You might see a very similar scenario. So ZM, same thing, big gap up, earnings pull it in a little bit, sideways consolidation, and then once it broke, and this is what we talk about, why these inflection points are so important, where these units and groups and people meet, these important inflection points in the market that trigger algos, that trigger money, then trigger chasers. It just creates this sexy thing that makes you money, right? So look what happens as soon as it breaks. This thing just takes off. I mean, look what it does. It just takes off, and it's just like all in. Everybody's just going in and chasing, and that's what you want. The thing about it is, and why we use the charts, for those people new listening out there, you want to be in down here. You want to be in on the break or a little bit earlier, because you don't want to be buying up here. You're taking away the value. You're robbing yourself of all of that money. And in this case, it made another high. I'm not saying that's going to be DOCU, but I think we have a very similar situation here with DOCU. I think it's something that we need to watch. So pay attention. You know, I'd love for this thing to happen today. I'd like for this to be such a great predictor of market activity that I know when this thing's going to break out, but maybe it doesn't. But keep it on your list. Keep that 214 right up there. Set an alert like I have. If that thing clears 214, man, you got yourself a really big time risk to reward, high potential winner on your hands right here. So we need that to clear. Maybe that happens today, tomorrow, the next day. I don't know. Maybe it wants to screw around for a week, but at some point in the near future, one of those levels are going to go and we're going to get what we want. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Pay attention to DOCU if you want to see how this stuff is traded in real time. You want to see other stocks that are triggering throughout the day, how they do it real time. Make sure you visit the live trade room. I'll post a link somewhere on the screen. Until next, guys. Until next time, guys, take care and trade well.